There comes a time in every life when the mirror no longer recognizes the face staring back, when even silence feels heavy and sleep doesn't bring rest, only softer versions of pain. You begin to wonder, when did everything inside you start falling apart? When did the warmth of being turn into this quiet ache? You smile at people, you nod at their words, but deep inside something fragile keeps whispering, I can't hold myself together anymore. It's strange, isn't it? How life can break you without ever touching you. How a few words, a goodbye, a lost dream, can shatter what years of effort tried to build. And yet we keep pretending. We polish our pieces, we hide our cracks, and call it strength. But what if strength isn't about holding yourself together? What if the breaking is not a failure, but the first honest thing your soul has done in years? Rumi once said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. Maybe your pain isn't destroying you. Maybe it's opening you to a light that only the broken can see. So don't rush to heal, don't rush to hide. Let this pain breathe through you, for it carries the fingerprints of your becoming. If these words touch a place you've never spoken from, if you feel seen, even in your silence, then stay close. This space, Sacred Murmur, is made for souls like yours, for the quiet ones, the broken ones, the ones who are still learning to love the pieces they've become. Subscribe, and let's walk through the fire together until your breaking becomes your awakening. We spend our lives chasing pieces that will finally make us whole. A person, a purpose, a place to rest the weight of our becoming. But have you noticed how even when you find what you thought you needed, the ache still hums beneath the surface? As if the soul refuses to be completed by anything it can touch. They told us wholeness means perfection, to never fall apart, to always be certain. But that isn't truth. It's exhaustion. Because what we call complete is often just what we haven't yet questioned. Rumi whispered, don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth. What if your myth was never meant to be smooth? What if it was written in fragments, each crack, each scar, each heartbreak, a verse in the poem your soul is still composing? Wholeness isn't a shape to keep. It's a rhythm to remember. It breathes through breaking. It glows through loss. It arrives quietly, not when you are fixed, but when you are finally real. The tree doesn't fight the wind when it bends. The ocean doesn't apologize when it storms. Why then do we fear our trembling? Maybe your broken edges aren't mistakes. They are openings, doorways where the infinite peers through you, reminding you that perfection was never divine. Only truth was. So breathe. Let go of the chase. Let the illusion of wholeness fall away like dust in sunlight. You were never meant to be flawless. You were meant to be free. There comes a sacred moment when life, with silent precision, begins to undo everything you built to protect yourself. The walls you once called safety begin to tremble. The masks you wore so beautifully start slipping. And the person you thought you were fades like old paint in rain. It hurts, yes, but within that hurt lives a quiet secret. The breaking was never against you. It was for you. Rumi said, don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. To the mind, breaking feels like death. To the soul, it is simply birth, in slower motion. The seed must split to become the tree. The cocoon must tear to release the wing. The night must fracture before the first light spills. So why do we fear the same sacred process within ourselves? You are not being punished. You are being remade. Every heartbreak, every collapse is the divine chiseling away the stone of who you are not, to reveal who you have always been. The art of shattering is holy work. It doesn't announce itself. It arrives in silence, in tears that no one sees, in prayers you don't have words for, in the long nights where even hope feels tired. And yet, something sacred stirs beneath the debris, a trembling light, a pulse of truth, a whisper. Now that you are nothing, you can finally be everything. So let it happen. Let yourself fall apart with grace. Let the divine sculpt you through surrender. The ego breaks loudly, but the soul breaks open like dawn. There is no shame in the cracking sound of becoming. It is the sound of the universe rearranging itself through you. After the breaking, there is a silence so deep it almost frightens you. No sound of struggle, no voice of resistance, just space. At first it feels empty, as if everything sacred has left. But stay there a little longer. Listen closely. In that stillness, something begins to move, soft, subtle, like dawn breathing through the ruins. It's not the old you returning, it's something ancient within you awakening. Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." And now you understand. The light doesn't come with noise or thunder. It arrives quietly, through the smallest openings, through the cracks you once tried to seal. You begin to see beauty again, not in perfection, but in the way sunlight sits gently on the broken glass. You feel peace, not because life has changed, but because you have. The pain didn't end you, it refined you. It made you porous enough for grace to pass through. And slowly, you stop trying to fix the pieces. You start letting the light weave between them. It fills your emptiness and turns it into a kind of holiness. You realize what broke you also blessed you. The same hand that shattered your plans is now painting light through your fractures. Every tear was a window, every ache a doorway, every silence a prayer that never needed words. Let the light enter, let it touch the places you once hid. It knows where to go. It has been waiting for this moment, the moment when you finally stopped running from yourself. There comes a moment when the light no longer just visits you. It begins to live within you. At first, it feels unfamiliar, this quiet peace, this gentle warmth that rises from the same place pain once lived. You almost resist it because you've grown used to the ache, but the soul was never meant to ache forever. It was meant to carry light. The Japanese call it kintsugi, the art of filling broken pottery with gold. They don't hide the cracks, they illuminate them, because the fracture is what gives the vessel its worth. And maybe that's what you are becoming, a vessel of gold-lined wounds, a carrier of holy light through human cracks. Rumi said, "Don't be satisfied with stories, unfold your own myth." This is how your myth unfolds, not by erasing your pain, but by sanctifying it, by saying, "Yes, this happened. Yes, I broke, but I am still here. And because I broke, I now hold what I never could before, compassion, depth, and grace." Becoming the vessel is not about being unbreakable. It's about being undefended. It's about trusting the divine rhythm that creates and destroys only to create again in more beautiful form. The vessel doesn't choose what it holds. It just stays open. And maybe that's all life ever asked of you, to remain open, even when it hurt, even when you didn't understand. So when the next wave comes, when life bends you again, don't harden. Breathe. Bow. Remember, you are no longer fragile glass. You are sacred clay, and every touch of the divine only deepens your shape. And now, there is no breaking, no healing, no before, no after, just this, the quiet pulse of being. The storm that once tore through you has become a song beneath your breath. The ache that once hollowed you now glows like a lantern inside your ribs. You realize there was never a destination. There was only the unfolding, the constant soft blooming of your soul into what it always was. Wholeness was never something to reach. It was the silence that waited behind every cry. It was the space between the notes. It was the murmur beneath the noise, whispering all along, "You are already home." Rumi said, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." And so, you stop running. You stop fixing. You simply sit inside your own vastness and feel the gentle rhythm of existence moving through you. The pain, the love, the loss, the light. They were never separate things. They were one dance, one eternal breath, one sacred murmur echoing through the halls of creation. And maybe that's what enlightenment truly is. Not rising above your humanity, but falling so deeply into it that you touch the divine hidden beneath your skin. So rest now. You have come far enough. The breaking was the teaching. The light was the blessing. And the silence, this silence, is your becoming. This was Sacred Murmur. If these words found you in your darkness, let them stay with you in your light. Subscribe so this space can find you again when your soul forgets its own sound. Until then, listen closely. The divine is still whispering, and it sounds a lot like you.